It was very impressive because even all those years ago, we were able to get so many finishes and so many solutions that we were looking for just in one place, and that was StoneArts.
Hi everyone, my name is Mercy Valentine and welcome once again to the StoneArts channel, where we have interior designers, architects. We just bring them over to have a conversation. We learn more about construction and how they maneuver through their careers. And today we have a very beautiful lady, very smart, very well established, very great interior designer, Miss Jaz. Thank you, Miss Jaz, for coming over. We really appreciate. How are you?
Thank you for having me.
You good?
Good. My name is Jaz Gharial, and I'm an interior designer. I have a company called Panache Planning Limited, and I've been in the industry for close to 15 years now.
15 years?
15 years, yeah.
Super good. So you've been in the field for quite some time.
Quite some time, yes.
Okay. As we start, do you mind telling us your kind of style and how it has evolved? Because you've said 15 years, how it's moved all since you started and where you are currently.
I think style is something, it does evolve, just like how your personality tends to grow over time, and you have likes and dislikes. So your style tends to change a lot with also how knowledgeable you are when it comes to materials as well. There's sometimes when you learn more about the different finishes, the different techniques, the different detailing that you can achieve in finishes. I think that brings a lot of change in your style. It can be a change or an improvement to your style. I always do think that being an interior designer, as much as we do have certain styles as individuals, which is true for everybody, I think as interior designers, we have to also at the same time be very versatile, because what our clients want is not always your style, and also all your designs can't be monotonous. So I do believe my style is an evolving one, and it's a versatile style. So I wouldn't say I have a fixed style either.
A particular one that you stick. So
exactly.
you go by your clients and whatever project that you're working on.
Yes.
Okay, that's very beautiful, Jaz. And now also, do you have where do you have particular things that inspire your design, or places, or just certain stuff, or do you? Absolutely. Do you mind sharing?
There's a lot that you get your inspiration from. You can get your inspiration from places. It could be you're driving down. I mean, Kenya is such a beautiful country. Like you could be driving down some parts of the country, and you get your inspiration from anything like a landscape or a certain tribe or culture. You get, because we're so diverse as a nation. So you pick up on so many things. You can get your inspiration from so many things just being here. And then of course you do always have people that you look up to. They could be interior designers that may be well known, or somebody just locally based, or anything like that can give you inspiration. Books. There's a lot that you get your inspiration from. I think it's also the kind of work that you're working on, the projects that we're working on. When you have a certain project, your inspiration comes from a lot of things, where you are at that point mentally, how you see that project, what your outlook on that project is going to be, and then you start getting your inspiration from there. So I wouldn't say my inspiration comes from one particular thing. I think it comes from multiple places.
That's beautiful. So you get to have a taste of different things for different
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Okay, now that we are at StoneArts, we'd just like you to tell us how you came to know about StoneArts, and also you've worked with StoneArts for quite some time, right? And you've done a couple of projects with us. So just how you came to know about us and how it is working with StoneArts as a designer.
Because I've known about StoneArts for a really long time, I'm trying to remember how we got to know about them, but I just remember that we were looking for a particular stone finish for a project of ours, and I think it was a leaflet that we came across, and we had heard about the possibilities of stone finishes from StoneArts. Obviously you were not based here back then, And it was very impressive because even all those years ago, we were able to get so many finishes and so many solutions that we were looking for just in one place, and that was StoneArt. Just
have everything.
Like a lot of our solutions were found at StoneArt, which is why I think we've kept our relationship going for all these years.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes.
Now, just on the projects that you've done with StoneArts, do you mind telling us more about them?
Because I tend to use a lot of natural finishes. I like to layer my designs quite a bit. I do tend to propose a lot of natural stone finishes as well. And for that reason, StoneArts again and us have a very good relationship because they do have a lot of the solutions we're looking for. Yeah, so the projects that we mostly do with them are residential projects, residential homes. Feature walls is very key in a lot of these houses. And for these feature walls, we usually do incorporate stone. And I mean, looking at the variety that we have, we always find something that works with the style that we're going for in the house. And so majority of the projects that we've done with StoneArts have been residential homes. But the kind of finishes that we do, it's always different. We never repeat the same thing twice. And like again, you can see this, you know, the stones here there's so much choice, and also you can use them in so many different ways as well, right?
From the floors to the walls.
Exactly, and even overall finish. I mean, if you look at it, you can get polished, you can get so many other ways of installing these stone finishes. So we do, as designers, I think we enjoy that because you have options.
Variety.
Yes, yeah.
So just you've mentioned you like incorporating natural stone in your designs. And I'm pretty sure you've had clients who they have experience of artificial, and they have also the idea of the natural stone. So you as a designer, what would you prefer? I know you'd prefer natural stone, but where would you recommend natural stone to a client who wants to go for artificial stone?
You see, what happens is there's two things to think about here. Is one is there's how do you source your materials as well? You know, you have to have ethically sourced items. You know, whether it's natural stone, you can talk about timber, whatever you talk about, finishes generally, as long as you know they're ethically sourced, they're good quality and all that stuff, you have to consider all of these things. Artificial stone is also something that is really taking up a lot of talk and space in our environment right now, is also because of the green movement. Everybody's becoming a lot more conscious about things that they're doing in the world. So if you find artificial finishes that are made using the right products, less chemicals, they're greener products, which you are finding nowadays.
You'd rather go for that.
You would rather go for that. It's I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with that. We've done it as well. I think it's just you have to move with the times as well. But at the same time, that being said and done, natural stone is also something that is still holding good value in the market even now. But I would say there's a good balance between the two.
Artificial and
there's a good balance between the two right now.
All right, and then we have certain clients who prefer to have their projects done by themselves, because we're moving in an era where people would rather do things by themselves. And so there's Pinterest, there's Google, there's so much around, and they begin to question the need for a designer in a project. They'd rather do it by themselves. So for you, why would you recommend a designer in a project?
So this is where people need to understand the difference between an interior designer and an interior decorator. What your question refers obviously more to a decorator, which is what a lot of clients do say to us, is that we can do the decoration part ourselves, which we understand because, like you said, there's a lot of tools available, social media, you know, Pinterest, Instagram, all of these areas have a lot of there's good sources for you to actually do a project yourself. But interior designers, like myself, we actually come in and we do what we call interior architecture. So basically you have a shell that the architect gives you, but we come in to do now your internal layouts, your spatial planning, you know, functionality of spaces, room sizes, flow of traffic, all of that. That's what falls under us. You know, and then then after that is done is now when we come in and we start specifying finishes for your floors, your walls and your ceilings, what kind of designs you're going to have, things like that. Then it all comes together, and then right towards the end is how you start in your concept, basically is when you start building it up. And we show you a finished product at the end of that, right? Including colors, decor, and all that stuff. So if you understand the difference between what value an interior designer is bringing to you
and what an interior decorator.
Yes, you do get a combination of both. Like I'm a combination of both.
When you get a designer, you get
exactly.
two, and when you
yes.
get a decorator,
So
you get one piece.
yeah, but our core business is actually to do interior design, which does have a little bit of interior decor involved in it as well.
Now another thing is when you're designing, you tend to work more with materials that, I know you've interacted with so many materials. You tend to work with materials that last, and they're sustainable, they don't need much of maintenance. Yeah. So what are some, when we come to stone also, and other materials also, you can just include them, what are your picks on how to do sustainable designs?
I think again, when it comes to sustainable design, there's a lot that you have to consider. Again, same thing like we spoke about earlier, is key factors that you have to consider is, you know, what is the product that you're using? Like where is it sourced from? What is it made up of? Because a lot of green design is based on obviously like what it's emitting after it's been installed. You know, are there harmful chemicals involved in the manufacturing of those products? So there's not one particular product that you can pick, because even when we talk about things like stone, we were talking about stone earlier, and now you get artificial stone, which is
like ceramic.
Exactly, or something else that they come up with. So what ends up happening is, I mean, people also use fiberglass, which you guys do as well. Yes, so that's also something that people are coming up with. So it all comes down to what the product is, what your alternatives are, and you have to find some kind of common ground, because it's always a give and take. You have to be very smart about your choices here. Yeah.
So as a designer, why would you prefer StoneArts, having that you worked with that for a very long time? Why would you say StoneArts is a place that you can get most of your materials from?
Like I said, it's the variety. We do obviously have a lot of local suppliers that do a lot of locally sourced stones. Like you've got your coral stone, your Machako stone, you get a lot of these blue stone, a lot of it which is locally sourced. When we need those kind of items, you will reach out to those kind of people, obviously, for that reason. But because we have a very different selection at StoneArts, like I had said earlier, I mean, just in your travertine alone, you have more than 3.
Yeah, we have a lot.
Yeah, more than 3 options. I think you have almost like 6,
even up to 8.
Yeah, there you go. So up to 8 options in just your travertine alone. And that's the color. And then the way that you want to lay it out, if it's in a certain pattern, a certain cut, a certain finish, you have that option as well. That's why I always say, as interior designers, we have a good time working with people like StoneArts, because we are able to be as versatile as we want in our design. We're able to think up of a design and know that you are able to implement it for us when we have a design in our head, right? So I think all of this put together makes for a good relationship
with StoneArts.
Yes.
Just adding on to the fact that you have more experience, you've dealt with many clients, dealt with many suppliers. What is one common mistake or one common misunderstanding that you have with clients, and how do you go about it? Because you understand that most of the time when you're dealing with clients, they take up the project so personally, and you also have your standard things that you do as a designer, and you might just clash on the way. So how do you deal with that?
Well, when it comes to homes especially, I always say homes are very personal.
Yeah, very.
Which we understand why. I mean, that is your place, that's your safe haven, that's where you spend a lot of your time. So you can understand why people feel very personally about their homes. So I think being in the industry for all this time, it's something that we've learnt over time. I've come to understand that about people, and I understand it also because I would feel the same way. If I'm working on my home, I would
You'd
take
be
it
too
more
specific.
Exactly. So what happens with homes usually is you have to, as a designer, you need to also have an understanding. You need to have an understanding nature. Because if you are the kind of designer that says it's my way or the highway, nobody's ever going to work with you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
you have to be able to understand what your client wants and interpret it for them. That's the reason they've hired you.
Yeah.
Yeah? If you are going to put your foot down and have clashing with them over what they think you should do and what you want to do, then I do think there's that project is going to have a lot of friction all the way through.
One person has to go down.
Not really go down, but you need to. I think you guys, you as a designer, you do understand where your client's coming from. You will find times when your client is suggesting something for their house, and you can very clearly envision it as a designer that this is not going to work,
it's not
and
possible.
it's our duty to reach out to the client and say, look, we understand that you want this, but it's not going to work with the overall concept. So you have to run your client through, you have to understand where they're coming from, and they need to understand where you're coming from, and you need to walk them through the process so that they understand that, one, you mean well, and that they've hired you for that reason. And I think once you do that, clients do understand where you're coming from, and you reduce all these frictions that you're talking about and the misunderstandings.
That's, I think, for clients who are watching us, that's something you really need to pick, and you need to understand where the designer is coming from and also where you're coming from. Most designers do understand that this is your personal space and you want it done in a certain way, and you might just also try to reason with your designer. And so back to you, Jaz. We have many trends in interior design, and trends are coming in, day out. And we have also people who prefer way back trends. They prefer to do their houses the way the 90s were done, right? What's your own creative input on the trending designs and how you maneuver and manage your clients?
I think one of the best parts about being in the design world is your job is never monotonous. Because you're always going to meet, each person comes with their own
personal style,
preferences. You know, each person likes something different. What I like, you don't like. What you like, I don't like. So it's a very exciting field to be in, because you always meet people that want to do things that will either push you to your limits in a good way, and you also learn a lot in the process as well. So we've had clients that have had extremely contemporary styles to Victorian to Art Deco. We've dealt with clients with all sorts of styles. But the best part about it is that you take that project as your own and you have fun with it, and then you come out with a very brilliant project at the end of it.
Okay.
Yeah.